Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight from the heart, Steve Harvey style. Now, listen to me because this is important. How many times have you found yourself explaining everything to a man? Breaking down your feelings, justifying why you're upset, why you're hurt, why you're distant. Y'all been there, I know it. Now, here's the truth. Don't explain. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your growth. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your boundaries. Stop talking yourself into a corner. If he's going to stick around, he'll understand the change without a 20-minute speech. You don't have to break yourself down to pieces for somebody to see your worth. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about silence. I mean, really listen, because this one will change how you deal with men, with relationships, with life. A lot of y'all think that every time a man does something you don't like, or he's distant, or he's acting weird, you got to explain yourself. You got to text him back immediately. You got to call him to clarify, to justify, to make him understand why you feel a certain way. Let me tell you something. That's a trap. That's a trap that women fall into all the time. And I'm here to tell you, the power is in your silence. Yes, I said it. Silence is power. And most women don't understand it. They think silence is weakness. Oh, no, no, no. Silence is strategy. Silence is respect. Silence is respect. Silence is strength. Silence is strength. When a man doesn't know why you distant, when he doesn't know why you're holding back, when he doesn't know why you're no longer giving all your energy for free, guess what happens? He starts to think. He starts to wonder. He starts to pay attention. And attention, ladies, is what you want. You see, the thing about explaining everything is that it robs you of your dignity. It makes you small. You're breaking yourself into pieces trying to make someone else understand you. And let me tell you something, men are not wired to process all your emotions the way you want them to. You can give them the manual. You can write a book. You can explain your feelings, your needs, your boundaries, and half the time it goes in one ear and out the other. And then you're left frustrated, drained, exhausted, and he's still doing the same thing that upset you in the first place. That's why you stop explaining. You don't owe him your emotional report card. You don't owe him an explanation for your growth. You don't owe him an explanation for saying, I'm not doing this anymore. You don't have to justify why you're no longer available on demand. You don't have to defend your peace. And when you start practicing that, when you stop explaining, something magical happens. Men notice. They notice the absence of the old you. They notice the calm, the quiet, the strength, the energy that is no longer wasted on trying to convince them to see your worth. Now I know some of y'all are thinking, Steve, if I don't explain, won't he think I'm a cold or mean? Let me tell you something about men. They're simple. They notice what's missing, not what you said. They don't need a detailed explanation. They don't need a paragraph on why you're upset. They notice the change. They notice when you stop texting first. They notice when you stop making excuses for his behavior. They notice when you stop waiting by the phone. And that noticing, that curiosity, that's what makes him question. And that questioning, that's when the magic happens. That's when he starts thinking, starts wondering, starts realizing, something's different. I got to pay attention. I can't take her for granted anymore. That's the power of silence. It's quiet, it's subtle, but it's deadly effective. And here's another thing. Silence protects your energy. Every time you explain yourself, every time you try to make him understand you, every time you beg for attention, you are giving him your energy for free. You're giving him your mental space, your emotional labor, your patience. And let me tell you, once you start giving your energy away for free, they don't value. They don't respect it. They don't cherish it. That's why you have to start holding some of that energy back. You got to be mysterious. You got to be confident in your worth. You got to let the quiet moments speak louder than your explanations ever could. When you stop explaining, when you start holding back your energy, when you start investing in yourself, men can't ignore it. And the right men, the ones who see your value, they'll step up, they'll pay attention, they appreciate you. And the wrong men, they fall away. And that's exactly what you want. Listen, silence is not about playing games. It's not about manipulation. It's not about trickery. It's about self-respect. It's about valuing your own peace, your own growth, your own boundaries. It's about saying, I am enough. I don't need to justify myself to you. I don't need to explain why I changed. I am evolving, and if you can't keep up, that's on you. And when you embrace that mindset, your life changes. Your relationships change. The way people treat you changes. Silence becomes your superpower. You don't have to fight. You don't have to argue. You don't have to chase. You just exist. You just grow. And the rest takes care of itself. So ladies, I'm telling you right now, practice the power of silence. Stop explaining every little thing. Stop texting to clarify every miscommunication. Stop justifying every feeling. Stop shrinking yourself to make someone else comfortable. Stand in your power. Be quiet. Be confident. Let your abscess, your calm, your self-respect speak louder than anything you could ever say. And watch how men react. Watch how they notice. Watch how they start to wonder. Watch how your life changes when you stop trying to convince someone of your worth and start living it fully, proudly, unapologetically. That, my friends, is the power of silence. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about self-respect, because this is where most women get it twisted. You see, a lot of y'all think love is about giving until it hurts, about bending over backwards to make a man happy, about always putting him first and hoping he notices. But let me tell you something. That's not love. That's desperation. That's the exact opposite of respect. Real self-respect, the kind that makes men take notice, the kind that makes people value you, starts with you. It starts with you looking in the mirror and saying, I am worth more than the crumbs you're willing to give me. I am worth more than someone's half-hearted effort. I am worth being treated right, and I will not settle for less. And when you start living that way, when you start holding your own standards high, the game changes. Men notice it, they feel it, and that's how you get the respect you deserve. Now, let me break it down for you. Respect is not something you demand. It's not something you beg for. It's not something you chase. Respect is something you command with your actions, with the way you carry yourself, with the boundaries you set, and with the way you refuse to tolerate anything less than what you deserve. That means when he doesn't call, you don't text. That means when he doesn't show up, you don't chase. That means when he disrespects your time, your energy, your feelings, you don't apologize for how you feel. You hold your ground. You keep your dignity intact. And let me tell you something. Men can smell desperation from a mile away. They can sense when a woman doesn't respect herself. And when that happens, they won't respect you either. But when a woman stands firm in her self-respect, she becomes magnetic. She becomes untouchable in the best way. She becomes a woman they can't ignore because they know she will not settle for anything less than what she's worth. And here's the thing that most women don't understand. Self-respect isn't about being mean or cold. It's not about shutting people out or punishing them. It's about valuing yourself enough to make decisions that protect your peace. It's about understanding your worth and refusing to let anyone treat you like a second option. When you respect yourself, you create a standard that others have to meet. And the right man, the man who's capable of real love, will rise to meet that standard. He will see your value. He will treat you better, and he will never take you for granted. And the men who can't, they'll fall away. And that's okay. Because self-respect isn't about keeping the wrong people around. It's about keeping yourself whole, keeping your dignity intact, and allowing only those who recognize your value into your life. Let me tell you another thing. Self-respect protects you from regret. I've seen it time and time again. Women who compromise their values, who ignore red flags, who constantly chase a man hoping he'll change, end up heartbroken, frustrated, and exhausted. Why? Because they didn't respect themselves enough to walk away. They didn't value their peace, their happiness, their standards, and the result, pain, heartache, loss of confidence. But when you have self-respect, when you know your worth, when you refuse to settle for less than you deserve, you protect yourself from all that. You create a life where you are in control, where you are empowered, where your happiness is not dictated by someone else's choices or actions. You stop being a victim of circumstances and start being the author of your own life story. And ladies, let me hit you with this truth. Men respect what they fear losing, and nothing creates fear like a woman who respects herself. When a man realizes that you will not tolerate being treated poorly, that you will not chase, that you will not bend for him, something changes. He starts paying attention. He starts valuing what he once took for granted. He starts realizing that your love, your time, your energy, your presence, they are not to be played with. And that, my friends, is the power of self-respect. When you respect yourself, you set the tone for how everyone else should treat you. You create a life where you are not constantly explaining, not constantly begging, not constantly apologizing for existing. You become a woman who commands attention without saying a word. You become a woman who is noticed for her presence, her confidence, her standards, and her worth. Now I know some of y'all are sitting here thinking, Steve, what if he leaves? What if I lose him? Let me tell you something. If a man can't handle a woman with self-respect, he wasn't worth your time to begin with. You don't lose by standing in your worth. You lose by compromising it. You lose by case. And you lose by giving everything and asking nothing in return. Self-respect is not negotiable. It's not flexible. It's not something you give up because someone doesn't like it. It's your power, your shield, your weapon, your crown. And when you wear it proudly, you walk through life differently. You carry yourself differently. You interact differently. And the men who are lucky enough to be in your life, they will rise to the occasion. They will treat you right. They will honor you. And the ones who don't, they'll fade away. And that's exactly what you want. Ladies, self-respect is not selfish. It's necessary. It's what separates women who are taken for granted from women who are celebrated. It's what separates women who are always chasing from women who are always desired. It's what separates heartbreak from empowerment, weakness from strength, settling from thriving. When you respect yourself, when you hold your standards high, when you refuse to allow disrespect, when you put yourself first without apology, you create a life that is magnetic, powerful, and unstoppable. Men don't just notice it, they respond to it. They can't help themselves. And that, my friends, is the true value of self-respect. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about change and curiosity, because most women completely underestimate the power of it. You see, a lot of women think that change has to be announced. Oh, I'm changing. So let me tell him, explain everything. Make him understand. That's not how it works. True change doesn't need an explanation. True change speaks for itself. When you evolve, when you grow, when you start standing in your power, the right people notice it, and the wrong people, they wonder what happened. And that, my friends, is exactly what you want. You want them wondering. You want them questioning. You want them scratching their heads, thinking, wow, in a minute, something's different. Because curiosity is a powerful thing, and when you let change create curiosity, you become magnetic in ways you can't even imagine. Now, let's be real. A lot of women stay stuck being the same because they're scared of what he'll think. They're scared he won't like the new version of him. They're scared of losing him. And that's the trap. That's exactly why men take women for granted. But here's the truth. When you stop being the same, when you stop giving the same energy, when you start growing, when you start focusing on yourself, they notice it. Even if they don't say it, even if they don't acknowledge it at first, they feel it, they sense it, and they start to ask themselves questions. Why is she different? Why isn't she acting the same way? Why is she not as available? What changed? And ladies, that curiosity works in your favor because it puts the ball back in their court. Suddenly, they have to adjust. Suddenly, they have to pay attention. Suddenly, they realize that you are not the same woman they used to take for granted. And that realization is worth more than 1,000 explanations. And here's the thing about change. It doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't have to scream it from the rooftops. You don't have to post about it on social media. You don't have to send long texts explaining why you're evolving. Change is subtle. Change is in the way you carry yourself. Change is in the way you value your time. Change is in the way you invest in yourself, your goals, your happiness. Change is in the way you stop reacting to his nonsense and start prioritizing your peace. And when you do that consistently, the people around you start noticing. They start feeling it. And that feeling of curiosity is powerful. It makes them stop taking you for granted. It makes them start thinking, I can't ignore her. I need to figure out what's going on. I need to understand this new energy. That's how you make someone pay attention without saying a single word. Now I know some of y'all are thinking, Steve, won't he just walk away if I change? Let me tell you something. If a man walks away because you started valuing yourself, because you started valuing yourself, because you started prioritizing your peace, because you stopped overgiving, he wasn't worth keeping around anyway. That's the thing about change. Change doesn't chase approval. Change doesn't beg for validation. Change doesn't compromise your worth to make someone comfortable. Change is about you. Change is about growth. Change is about leveling up in life, in love, in every area, and letting that growth create curiosity. And when you do that, the people who are meant to be in your life will rise to meet you. The people who aren't, they fade away, and that's exactly how it should be. And ladies, let me be clear. Letting change create curiosity is not about playing games. It's not about manipulation. It's not about manipulation. It's not about making him jealous or confused on purpose. It's about living authentically. It's about evolving. It's about saying, I am not the same woman I was yesterday, and that's because I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm leveling up. And when you live that way, the people around you can't help but notice. They can't help but wonder. They can't help but pay attention. And that, my friends, is the secret to maintaining your power in relationships. Here's another thing. Curiosity creates attraction. When a man doesn't understand why you're different, when he doesn't understand why you're not reacting the way you used to, he becomes curious. And curiosity is a strong motivator. It drives people to engage, to invest, to figure things out. It makes them want to work for your attention instead of taking it for granted. And that, ladies, is exactly what you want. You want a man who values your time, your energy, your presence. You want a man who notices your growth, respects your boundaries, and works to be a part of your life. Let change do that work for you. Don't spell it out. Don't justify yourself. Don't chase. Let your evolution speak for itself and watch how it flips the script. And finally, understand this. Change is permanent when it comes from within. It's not temporary. It's not a phase. When you start respecting yourself, when you start prioritizing your happiness, when you start growing emotionally, mentally, spiritually, the person you were before fades away, and the new you, she's stronger, wiser, more confident, and more magnetic. And the curiosity she creates, that curiosity makes men realize that they can't take her for granted. That curiosity makes them start paying attention. That curiosity makes them start valuing her in ways they never did before. Change creates mystery. Mystery creates curiosity. Curiosity creates desire. And desire, ladies, is powerful. It's powerful in relationships. It's powerful in life. It's powerful in love. It's powerful in love. And when you understand that, you understand why you never have to explain yourself, why you never have to chase, and why letting him wonder why you chant. Kid is the ultimate power move. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about men, because understanding them is half the battle. And I don't mean understanding them so you can change yourself or chase them. I mean understanding them so you can protect your peace, hold your standards, and make sure you're never settling for less than you deserve. Now, most women don't get this. They think if they just explain enough, text enough, care enough, or beg enough, a man will do what they want. That's not how it works. Men operate differently. They are simple creatures in some ways and yet complicated in others. And the moment you understand their attention and behavior, your life changes. You stop giving energy where it's not appreciated. You stop wasting time on men who aren't willing to meet you at your level. And you start commanding the kind of respect that draws the right man in. Now, here's the thing. Men are wired to notice what's missing more than what's present. That's right. They notice the absence. They notice when you stop chasing. They notice when you stop explaining. They notice when you stop making yourself available on demand. And the truth is, most women don't realize this. They think men only notice when they're being given something, when they're being chased, when they're being talked to constantly. No. Men pay attention to what they can't have, to what's no longer easily available. That's why when you stop giving them the crumbs, when you start valuing yourself, when you hold your boundaries, they suddenly become curious. They suddenly start wondering, what happened? Why is she different? Why isn't she chasing me like before? And that wonder, that curiosity is exactly what you want, because it makes them pay attention without you even lifting a finger. And let me break down something else about men's behavior. Men show love differently than women. They think differently about attention. They don't always communicate feelings the way women do. They don't always react to every little situation or text. So when you're trying to explain, justify, or demand understanding, you're forcing them into a box. they don't even operate in. And that's where frustration comes in. But when you step back and observe, when you understand their natural behavior, you stop overreacting. You stop chasing. You stop